Thank you to IOC for inviting Farm Credit Services of America and Frontier Farm Credit to be part of this culture series. We're very honored to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
So Lynette, what are we going to talk about?
Well, we constantly are asked, what's our secret sauce?
Yes.
What is it about our culture that makes us different? We give a lot of tours, we talk to a lot of people.
And it's intentional.
It's intentional. So we're going to talk about intentional culture, because our culture started with intention and it continues on purpose with intention.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's what we're going to talk about, because that's what people ask us about all the time.
So we're going to talk about how we created it.
Yes.
How we constantly invest in it.
We're constantly investing
right?
in it.
Everything we do, we're thinking about it.
Yep.
Enhancing it, and what are the measures we take to ensure that it's living and breathing,
yes.
thriving?
What are the measures that actually sometimes show up that we're on the right track?
So where do we start? I mean, we start with, more than anything else, our core values.
We started in the late 90s with a group of committed leaders, and our core values are honesty and integrity. And they got together, and leaders came and said that we wanted to create something very special.
It needed to be special, but it needed to be team-based. And I think it's funny when people come here, because they're like, oh yeah, I work for a team-based company.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, I've never worked for a team-based company like this.
That really is team-based.
Team-based company.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's really interesting to be a leader here, because you lead, but most of the time you're a player coach.
Yeah.
And your team is very empowered. And it's very special. And when people are given that empowerment, first of all, they have to be really capable.
Yes.
And they have to be really motivated. So that's what we look for when we hire people, and then we get them to that point that they're very capable in what they're doing, and then
let them go. They soar, right?
Right,
so,
they do. And they're so excited. They're so empowered and so jazzed by it.
You feel it.
Right.
We feel it when we walk through our hallways all the time.
Right.
But our executive leaders are all on the same page, right?
Yes. It's so critical to have the senior leadership all on the same page.
That foundational.
That's right.
And they show up as leaders, our executives, and all of our leaders with trust. First and foremost, it's showing and being trustworthy,
Absolutely.
right?
In fact, our engagement scores show how high the trust is. And we have really high, 93% right now, engagement in our company. And you can feel it in the air, you can feel it everywhere. But one of the highest scores is trust in senior leadership. So they know that they are constantly looking out for the culture, thinking about the culture, and factoring the culture in. Now, they have to factor it in the strategic decisions. And but we have that trust that they're doing that.
But they show it and they live it.
They
so
do.
they're, our private offices, we have 6 private offices total in our entire corporate headquarters. They do have private offices, but they're not big offices that are on the windows.
No.
And they're workstations like our financial officers have.
Right.
They have open air lids, and they don't have big corner offices and high back leather chairs. It's very open and unapproachable.
You would not be happy here if you made meaning by status.
So if you want to climb the ladder, you're not going to find that
here. You're not
here.
going to find that, and you're not going to find status conscious people, because it's really, we don't have those artifacts or those things.
Yeah.
In fact, we have parking garage. I love to tell the parking garage story, because we have, you have to go into a lottery, because we only have a few spaces.
Yep, there's only 97 stalls, so you have to, if you're willing to pay $40 a month, you can put your name in a drawing, a lottery.
Yes.
And
so the executives, they have to go in the lottery too. But Doug gets, who's our CEO, gets a parking stall.
He does.
And you know what he does with it? He gives it to the employees. And
every month.
Every month.
He looks for things to reward people, special projects, 40-year employees, whatever he finds special for that month. He never parks in it himself.
Yeah, and the people that get it, they're so honored to get that from him.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
So creating our culture, though, right? So we want to talk about it's a flat organization,
right?
But there's a lot of interconnectedness, right? So you're not just in your own silo. We're very matrixed. We work especially hard with working with teams,
cross-functional teams.
Yes,
we have right now about 40 to 50 cross-functional or standing teams with the right people at the table, and they do the research depending upon the project. They do the research. They come up with the proposals, and bring it to the executive team, because we have to have someone who knows what the right hand, what the left hand's doing, that holistic picture. But they bring the proposals to the executive team, and that's how our business moves forward. It creates a lot of buy-in, and it creates a lot of knowledge. It's the best development opportunity that we have.
And you get to self-select.
You get to self-select.
So if you're interested in being on a cross-functional team and you want to participate, you get to put your name on that list as saying, hey, I'm interested. I want to do this. And we pull people from all 50 offices.
All the offices.
Yeah. And all job families all the time. So that's really cool as well.
Yeah.
Team culture, we highly collaborative.
Yes.
A lot of projects, everybody sits in a workstation essentially. So you're hearing what's happening, you're able to help each other, you're constantly collaborating with your team members.
Right. And a lot of this is really important to the millennial generation. And I hope a lot of companies really start considering this, because they want to have a seat at the table. They want to be listened to and be heard.
Right?
And we provide those opportunities through the cross-functional team.
One of my favorite things, though, really, when we get new employees is learning and listening to new employees, because they bring in such fun and fresh ideas. And we hear that every time we're in new employee orientation, because it's cool. It's like those ideas are so cool. So putting our culture into words.
Right. We don't have managers here, because the idea is that we're leaders, that we have trust and we're leading you, and leaders have to have followers. So it's not managing. So we have rules.
There are lots of rules.
We're a financial institution, and we're audited.
Regulations. We have regulations.
But it's amazing to be that type of a company or an association, which we're owned by our farmers and ranchers, and still be very empowered. And so we try to have leaders and talk about leadership. So we don't have a lot of rules.
And then we're teammates.
And we're teammates.
We're not employees, we're teammates. Everybody and across the entire association is a teammate. And we focus on customer experience. How does the customer actually feel after they've worked with us? And so our whole culture supports that.
Words matter. Words matter, and so we never refer to manager. And when we even have a class called Leadership's Everyone's Business, and we expect everyone to lead and step up and lead in different ways.
People come into that class and they think, but I'm not a leader, right? And we're like, yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Everywhere you are, every day.
That's right.
So lots of mental models that we create by all the classes we offer, the internal classes that are created.
That's right.
And the team principles, things that the way we operate, and we make sure that our teams are all educated. They have kind of a common core group of classes too.
Yes, right. When they're brought on board, we really purposefully, we have culture in a box. We send them the different parts of our culture.
Right. Here it is. We're going to educate you. We're going to tell you who we are and why we're the way we are.
That's right. We have classes that we consider Leadership's Everyone's Business, the team principles. This is the way we're going to act as a team. We have feedback, the art of feedback. And that's really important, that we understand that in this type of a culture, for it to survive, we have to be able to give feedback. We have to be able to come up to someone and say, this is what's working, this is not what's working, and how can we work better together? And it's not about going to the leader and telling them, it's about owning
it yourself.
Yes, but you have to have both sides willing to do it as well.
So you're in charge of all of our development, and it is awesome.
Thank you.
So
we're pretty proud of it.
You should be.
And we have the backing of the executive leadership team. Doug thinks it's one of our differentiating advantages, and so I really, really appreciate that, to have their support. And not only their support, but they facilitate a lot of the classes.
They're in there with us,
right? Doug does our employee orientation. Our CEO does our
new employee orientation. It's very impressive to new employees.
And he loses his voice every time, because he talks and he really gives his all.
And they love it. They really love it.
That's one of the things that we get. Our executive team, they lead our Building Connections class, our Leadership's Everyone's Business. They are in there and they're telling personal
life stories that really, I've never been through a class where I haven't shed a tear, because the stories they're telling are just so real.
That's right.
And they're really laying it out for their employees to let them know that they're real people.
That's right. And now we've been doing Dave Ramsey personal finance, and our CFO is
helping us facilitate that. That's super cool.
It is. So.
But because we're such a flat organization, I think development and learning is so much more important even here, because you don't necessarily have the ability to climb a ladder.
Right.
But you have every opportunity to learn and grow and develop.
Right. What we like to say is we like everyone here to be able to operate from a position of strength, to know that if you will meet us halfway, and development is that person's responsibility, but we're there to help them, support them with whether it's tuition reimbursement or all the classes that we offer. Development is a huge part of our culture. And I'm always saying you should really try to see if you could be rehired for your position.
Every year.
Every year. You should update your resume every year. And
Would you rehire you?
You should add a new line to your resume every year. And then you should ask yourself, if this position were open, would I be the one that would be hired?
Yeah.
It's critical.
To
It's
think
critical
like that
to
all
think
the
that
time.
way, to be moving forward instead of getting stuck where you are.
And then we have tools.
That's
Lots
right.
of tools.
Lots of tools. A lot of technology. It's amazing.
I've never ever thought, gosh, I wish I had a faster computer. I wish I had something that I don't have in order to do my job. I always have the tools I need to get my job done around here.
That's right. We do a performance enablement survey
Measurement.
a measurement along with our employee engagement survey. And we have measurements that we expect to be in the high 90s in performance enablement. Are we providing all the tools, all the technology? Are we providing that for our customers? Are we able to really serve our customers in the very best way possible?
So lots of tools, but then we invest. And I've had the pleasure of working with our facilities and I get to create an environment.
It's beautiful.
An environment where people want.
It's funky, but it's fabulous. It's fabulous.
It doesn't speak to everybody, everything
No.
to everybody. I know we've talked about creating an environment means a place where people want to come to work.
Right.
Where they get out of bed in the morning and they think, I get to go to work there, right?
That's right. It's always beautiful. It's always well maintained, and it appeals to the senses. We have natural lighting everywhere. It was actually created by a cross-functional team as well.
It was.
All of our
I just get to help build it. But the
Right.
cross-functional team designed it, and it
Right.
wasn't even with our executives.
No.
It's a group of cross-functional people from across our association who come together and put all their ideas together to create a facility and an idea and a concept, and then we just make it happen. But natural lighting, so important to people.
Yes.
And to see if there's a blizzard or snow, rainstorm, whatever's going on, people want to see it all
Right.
day long. Color.
A lot of color.
Vibrancy, different settings. We want people to feel like they can sit or stand at their workstations. You can all day long. You can go to all these different settings to work, get away from your desk. Artwork. We have an artwork collection. It's like a
do.
gallery.
And I love some of it, and a lot of it I don't like. But we always talk about it, right?
And I love that you tell me.
I know. It causes the conversation. That's what art's supposed to do. It's supposed to cause the conversation.
Exactly.
Because not everybody can love everything, right?
And that's kind of how we do our facilities. But
That's
we
right.
want you to love getting up and coming to work. That's the
Love
key,
it,
right?
Love it. And
But-
we give tours all the time. People can't believe it because it's so funky. It is so different
It
and
is.
unusual. And the furniture, some of it's 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're rural America.
We're rural America.
Kind of headquartered in Nebraska, but
Right.
Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, Wyoming,
Right.
Kansas.
Yes.
People think, oh, you guys are so conservative. And then they
Right.
walk in and they're like,
Right.
cool.
Cool.
You're like a well-hidden gem in the middle of the United States.
I know, that makes it so much fun.
It is fun.
But we're reasonable, and we're good stewards of our finances because
Absolutely.
we're owned by our farmers and ranchers. So
It matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
It really does matter.
We have a commitment to making sure our retail offices are all equally as nice. So all of our employees across all associations get to have that same luxury coming
love
to work
that.
every day.
I love that. That's important. In fact, that's something that's really bedrock in all the things that we discuss is the fairness.
Yes.
We really try to do something. It won't be equal, but it'll be fair with all of our retail offices.
So, one of the other things we do a lot of communication. We get to create videos like this even internally.
Yeah.
But our CEO loves to create videos and communicate with our team members.
It's huge.
And we have intranet that's
really-
called Access America, and we have all kinds of really cool things like polls.
Yes.
Silly polls, I
Yes.
think. Like what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Yeah.
But
the
there's
trading posts,
you can buy and sell your own goods.
tickets,
Yeah, whatever you
furniture,
wanna get rid of,
cars,
right?
Houses, you name it.
it also has top stories though, and it's like your newspaper. But it's our internal newspaper, and it's never a story about an individual.
No.
It's always a story about a group or a team and what they've done.
Yeah, we won't do a top story if it's about putting one person over another. It's about a team. It's about that team concept.
But it's really cool, and you can look up employees. You can look them up by their picture on there, which is really cool as well. So when
It helps me out.
yeah, when you're talking, 1,300 employees, and you're talking to somebody 3 states away, it's nice to pull up their picture and see them.
It is.
So
or
you're
if
talking.
I just know their first name and don't know their last name, I
can
look
find
up.
them.
I know. Or if you know what team they're on, you can find them.
Now, another team that you lead that I think is super cool and speaks completely to our culture is Team Fusion.
Yes, I love Team Fusion. We have, again, a cross-functional team. People come from all of the states.
Yep.
And we focus on well-being. We focus on social well-being, diversity, inclusion, physical well-being, and we do a lot of wellness activities, financial well-being, which is new, and we've done a lot on personal finance, and people have told us a lot of times it's changed their lives. We do community well-being, and that's not under our team.
Nope.
But we have someone fully dedicated, one person fully dedicated
to just
all of
community
our
involvement.
Community involvement.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
We have a really
amazing.
cool, I think our community involvement, before we get back to Team Fusion, is that our teams are encouraged to volunteer.
Yes.
We have volunteer hours, which I know a lot of people do, but not only do we get to volunteer, but we get to provide a $1,000 check to whoever we're volunteering for
And
once
it's
a
such
year.
a surprise.
I know.
It's
So you get to take a check.
You get to take a $1,000 check. So you volunteer as your team, and you do a really cool thing. And at the end, you say, "Oh, by the way,
here's $1,000.
We have $1,000.
It's so cool.
It's so much fun. Oh my gosh, that is so heartwarming.
Yeah.
And we are, as a company, as an association, dedicated to actually giving a lot of our funds
back to our communities.
Back to our communities.
Right, our rural communities.
All of our rural communities.
So.
Absolutely. And then the last one is career well-being. And so we work on career well-being, especially through our organizational development and learning team and our human resource team.
So that was our culture. We talked about culture in a box, which was super cool. So what are the things that we do that just really enhance our culture, right? So we've got a great rewards program, which I think it's really kind of cool and different in that our employees can reward each other. They're called difference makers. And for whatever reason, they don't have to ask their leader.
Nope.
They get to say, "Hey, Lynette, you did a really great job on that project. I can write a personal card."
It's personal thank you note, which is handwritten, which I love.
Love, personal, and then I can include a $25 Visa gift card. And every employee can do that completely on their own. And my goodness, we hand them out a lot.
We
and
do.
It's really cool.
And it's for going over and above. It's for doing a really fantastic job on a work group.
Yeah.
It's just doing something special that really touched your heart.
Yeah.
And we give out a lot.
And it's not that money always motivates people, but usually what I love most is the card.
Right.
But it's really nice that employees don't have to ask. They just get to do it on their own.
And sometimes people do really good, cool things with their cards. They save them up and they give them to people, or they do some really cool things with those.
So, and every office everywhere has what we call it here, employee activity committees, spirit committees, spirit teams. They do all kinds of crazy stuff.
They do. We have chili feeds. We just had a run last.
A 5K, which was cool.
Run last week. We do, I don't know, remote
Karaoke's
control
coming
cars.
up.
We had karaoke. Oh gosh, we did all kinds of
Pinewood Derbies.
Oh yeah, Pinewood Derby.
All kinds. Just fun. Today we celebrated, because we're farmers and we serve farmers and ranchers. Today we celebrated the dairy industry.
It's Dairy Month.
And how much
June
is Dairy Month, and so we celebrated the dairy industry today, and we ate ice cream and yogurt from our customers that our customers actually create. That was cool.
That was great.
Lots of fun things that we get our employees involved in. Photo contests.
All
year long. We want you to submit your pictures, and then those pictures go into what we call an employee annual report. It's super cool. My kids like to call it our yearbook.
Yeah.
When it comes in the mail, because we get them in the mail, and my kids are like, "Oh my gosh, your yearbook's here," and I'm like, "Well, it's not really a yearbook, but it showcases everything that our employees have done all year long. It showcases our culture in a document.
It does. And in organizational development terms, it's appreciative inquiry. We're constantly focusing on what's positive, what gives us life, what feeds our spirit, and it starts to crowd out the negativity.
Yeah.
So we're actually in a really good virtual cycle, a virtuous circle. So it just gets bigger and bigger and expands and grows.
And it's back to that.
It is.
That you can feel it, see it when you're walking through the hallway.
Yes.
You know,
can.
it really is.
And
it's
it feeds
tangible.
on itself and just gets better and better.
And I've been here 15 years, so I think it does get better and better.
It does.
And I mean, really, that
It
we
does.
care about our culture and we continue to feed it, and it
that's
feels
a
good.
good point, Sharlyn, because people say, "How do I get started?" This is only right for us. It's
Right.
not right for everybody, but you can do. It's scalable, and you can do different variables. But it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while to do things.
Yeah.
But if you start with the right foundation and the right humanistic ideas, people will help you. They will actually fight to
They
preserve
care.
cultures like this.
Yes.
And they really care about it.
All of our employees, I think,
Mm-hmm.
check in with every project we're working on. Now, did you think about how that's going to impact our culture? And it's a living, breathing thing to them, and it
is.
matters.
It is. It matters. In fact, right now we're doing another cultural insight project just to keep making sure that we're putting the right words to our culture.
Right.
We've actually created a document with words to our culture about who we are, and it really helps when we're hiring people because we show them and we talk to them. We really want good fit. We want a good culture fit. We want diversity, but we want people that are adaptable, that really
Teammates.
like teammates, that are leaders, that are interested in innovation.
Servants.
That are servants, that have a servant mentality. And if they don't, they're not going to fit here. They're going to be miserable and leave pretty quickly.
But I think it's important when you talk about, just in general, when you're looking for a culture fit as a person, to really find out what those words are and what the company's really about. Because, if it doesn't feel good to you, there are people that come here that think this isn't a good fit.
Right.
And that's okay because there's other cultures.
That's right.
There's other
Life's
places.
Too short.
I know.
You're here
Be
so many
happy.
hours. I know you're here so many hours during the day. Life is too short not to really feel like you're making a difference and that you're happy.
Yeah, and that's really what we're hoping to convey. That
exactly.
if, at Farm Credit Services of America and Frontier Farm Credit,
Right.
we want our employees to be happy, engaged, and, want to come to work every day.
The happiness translates to the customer. And all you have to do is think about when you're a customer,
what it feels like.
That you feel really engaged is when the person at whatever company that is engaged as well.
Absolutely.
So there's kind of a saying that you're not going to be any more engaged as a customer than the employee is. And
That's
so
true.
our engaged employees, the happiness really pays off
Dividends to the customer. Yeah,
and our
absolutely.
bottom line.
Yeah, so.
Well, what we wanted to do and talk about measurement is how this shows up.
Yes.
It shows up in our high customer loyalty
Scores,
and
right?
And we've been a best place to work 8 times.
In Nebraska and Iowa.
In Omaha.
Right.
And then in Iowa, we've been the best place to work in Iowa among our Iowa retail.
Winning the ethics category.
One time we won the ethics category.
Love that.
That
Love
was
it, love
really, really cool. We won the Young Professionals Award. We haven't even talked about the Young Professionals.
Yeah.
We have a young professional group that are just on fire and constantly doing things. We've just initiated
resource
a
group.
women's resource group, Women in
Very
Leadership
exciting.
group.
Yeah.
And so we have people that have different passions that are stepping forward and working to make things better and more exciting as well.
Our engagement, I know you've mentioned it, 93%. Globally, that's one of the highest scores that they've ever recorded.
And IBM Connect.
So
yes.
we're obviously extremely proud of that.
Right.
And think that, every year we think there's no way it can get better. And we know that there's, there's things going on. Well, but there's things going on that we think, maybe this will kind of upset our balance a little bit. And we're realistic about it. I think we're very realistic about it.
We work on being realistic about it and about sustaining it. And if our scores do go down, then we're going to have to look and say, what's going on.
But we're transparent too.
Yes.
Very transparent about offering it.
That's really important to our employees, our transparency and that core honesty.
If the scores go down, the scores are going to go down.
And we're going to talk about it, right?
We're going to learn from it and we're going to move on,
well, that's
right?
because it's up to them. It's up to employees to fix things, and that's the beauty of this.
Yeah.
It isn't someone somewhere in a room trying to fix things. It's all of us. We're responsible. Collectively responsible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So. Always great rewards, and we're very proud.
Yes. So, it's an ongoing thing to create culture on purpose think about it, talk about it. Sometimes I think, wow, we talk about it a lot, but it's really important to keep it in front of us and talk about it and work on it and try to say, is this enhancing our culture or is this a detriment? And
do you think people, I mean, I would do this now where I'm at today in my career, but I would consciously think about what am I looking for in a culture when I go out and look for jobs.
Right.
And I really think it's important to spend time thinking, what do I need?
Me personally, how do I fit?
But
Right.
I want to fit there too. I want
Right.
my values to align with their values.
That's right.
So that I really fit and can contribute and feel good about it. You
That's
know,
right.
there's a social, the social awareness, consciousness of being a part of something really great.
Right. And this wouldn't be for everyone.
You're right.
You
No,
know,
it's not.
A lot of people would not prefer this, but for the group of people we have,
cool.
it really
Yeah.
works. And I think it's really working for especially the millennial generation. And I think we need to constantly be looking at, in fact, when you were looking at environment, they said to create an environment for who, like
Eighth graders. So when we
Yeah.
were researching all of what we needed to be doing, they said you really need to start designing spaces for people that are currently in 8th grade, because those are the ones that are going to be using the space, not us. You know, not the
Right.
people that are currently here today. And it's like, wow, it's hard to get your head around. It's like moving at the rate of change as well.
A
But
change is huge.
It is.
We are adaptable as one of our cultural.
you better embrace it and hold on.
That's right. And so we're constantly looking to the future with innovation and what might work in the future.
Yeah.
Because if you don't keep changing, then you're not going to be able to adapt and compete
And thrive.
and thrive.
So, yeah.